One of the things I love about OneNote is its ability to allow you to draw or ink. If you have a stylus, a pen, you're actually able to use that pen and put your workings or draw, as you can see here. If I then go to the Draw tab in the menu, I can see that that's actually a variety of pens. We've got red pens, we've got blue pens, we've even got pencils, and we've got highlighters. So we have a collection of pencils, pens, and highlighters, and we can even add some more pens. If I was to click on a highlighter, for example, I can then hit the drop down here and I can choose what color highlighter I'd like, so I don't just have yellow. I can also choose the thickness or the thinness of my highlighter by choosing one of these circles or hitting the plus or minus. If I want a color outside of these particular colors, these 16 colors, then I can go into more colors and choose different shades of yellow, for example. If I go back, I can even delete a color. So I'm going to stick with this particular color, but I might choose a thicker 10mm highlighter. I'll then come over to my workings and I can highlight a particular line or two. If I want a red pen, I'll click on the red pen. If I hit the drop down, I can again choose the color of my pen and choose from more colors and choose the thickness of my pen. I'll just stick with what I have here and I'll actually cross out certain things. So you have a variety of pens and pencils that you can use. You also have a rubber or an eraser. If I click the eraser, again I have a down triangle and I can choose the size of my eraser and whether it's a stroke eraser or not. If I choose stroke eraser, I can then just drag over what I want to erase. If I want to switch back from drawing or inking mode, then I use this button here. This button allows me to type text. So I click the type text button and notice my cursor is an I, which means I can insert text. Whereas this button here is the lasso button. If I click lasso, then I'm able to actually drag around and surround my drawing or my inking and select it or select objects. The reason I'd possibly want to do this is to move it, and so I can drag it and move it on the page, or maybe even to resize it because I won't want it to be so big, or both. If I can't then type, it may be because I have to turn off my lasso and go back to my type. So I click this button here to return to typing text. On the Draw menu, not only do I have the ability to draw using these pens, highlighters and pencils, but I can also insert shapes. If I click this button, there's a collection of basic shapes or lines or graphs that I can choose from, and if I was to click an object and drag, I'd be drawing a shape. The other thing that you can do on the Draw tab is you can also lasso, so I'm going back to my lasso, and you can select things that you've drawn or written, and you can convert those things to a shape. If you convert it to a shape, it becomes an object. You can also convert ink to text, which turns handwriting into typed text. The last thing I want to show you on this particular Draw tab is the Insert Space. I really like this when I need to split a container into two or more containers. Let's, for example, find a large container. I'm just going to first of all click on the Type Text button and find a large container. Here's a file or a page we were working on earlier. This page is getting quite long in terms of its content, so maybe I want to split some of these containers, or this particular container, into a number of smaller containers. What we can do here is if we go to the Draw option in the menu, we can click the button that says Insert or Remove Extra Space. I'll click this button, then I'll move my mouse over my container, and I might click about here. In fact, I'm not going to click, I'm going to slightly drag. Now when I do that, notice my screen, I'm just holding my button down, I'm dragging down and dragging up. But what I've effectively done is I've inserted space and I've split those two containers. I can now put this container alongside of this other container. If I want to split again, let me just adjust things accordingly so you can see better. I can resize this, and I can bring this container over. I might decide to split the container yet again. This one container here, I want to split into two. So I'll go to my insert space, and then I'll bring my mouse over to here and I'll drag slightly down, and I've just created another container. And I can move this over here. So the whole idea is that when you start typing a container, sometimes it can end up being quite large, and then you think, well, really I need to split that. And cut and copy can sometimes be very clumsy. So what I do is I use this button to insert extra space.